I saw a lot of people share their Moldavite story, but there are a couple of things they don't mention. Keep watching to see what those points are. Hello, Black Sheep. Welcome to Nirvanacompass. I saw some people track their Moldavite experience over a period of time, even over some months. I figured I should share my experiences with Moldavite since I've used it multiple times in different years of my life. Let's start off talking about how Moldavite is formed. Okay. We hear a lot about the meteorite impact that happened millions of years ago and how that created Moldavite. But I think if we stressed the fact that the material had to go through this intense experience before it became Moldavites, then we can have an even greater appreciation for the outer worldly qualities that it carries. So, first of all, this meteorite was about 15 miles in diameter. And so it hits the earth, and that material goes up into the atmosphere where it's heated. And it has this intense experience. And then it rains down to the earth. And in the process, it's cooling down. So that when it gets to earth, it ends up in all of its beautiful shapes and forms that we see Moldavite have today. And to me, I think that is very cool. And I just personally haven't heard anyone really include those details. They make it seem like the meteorite happened and then it went down to the earth. And it's implied, but I think we really need to consider that not only is a meteorite from out there in the atmosphere, not only was that from this wonderful universe, but the actual process it went through before it got to our hands is amazing. And when I think about it, it makes me just want to collect all of the Moldavite that I can get my hands on. There are some Moldavite sellers that do a really good job of including this information in their descriptions. But like I said, I haven't personally seen anyone really just verbalize it in a video and stress those details. Let's jump into my first experience with Moldavite. First time I worked with Moldavite, I was going through a lot of challenges in my marriage. And I kept it with me in my workspace. I kept it in my workspace, and my husband wasn't working with Moldavite at the time. It was just me, kept in my workspace. And I was going through a lot of resentment and anger. And it's almost funny because on one end of the spectrum, I was all about meditation, all about crystals, herbs, all about healing, raising my vibration. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I was steeping in anger. It was really ridiculous. And going through that cycle on a daily basis for a really, really, really long time. I was in this loop of a negative cycle. And I felt stuck. And so I ordered Moldavite. And my intention with Moldavite was to bring positive change in my emotions. Bring positive change in general. That was probably as specific as I got. what happened was Moldavite catapulted me into this series of experiences that really forced me to face what I was dealing with in a different way. I started making decisions that I really never considered before, and I'm not proud of these decisions. And I don't blame a Moldavite for the decisions, but I think that Moldavite sped up the opportunity for certain dramatic points in our relationship to happen that really needed to happen in order for us to move forward out of this negative loop. I can't imagine my marriage ever going through something as tough as that again. I can't imagine it. And we learn to appreciate each other more. Working with Moldavite in this experience, things seem to have gotten worse before they got better. But they definitely got better. So it seemed like there was a new baseline of a low point in our marriage. Previously, the low point was very, very, very negative, very difficult to overcome. And this new baseline of what a low point is in our marriage is very easy to overcome. It's manageable. It's not as negative and heavy, nowhere near as dark as it was before the baseline low point. Working with Moldavite in this scenario was not a quick fix. And I think that's worth mentioning because we hear a lot of the times that people have speedy experiences, speedy climatic points, quick chaos happening in their life as a result of having that energy. And my experience is in that case is that it wasn't quick. However, if we do a comparison, there is a different perspective we can consider. So the buildup of the negative energy happened over years. So if we take that and compare it to the months, where it was a few months I was working with Moldavite before I noticed any change. So that few months versus those years, that could technically be seen as quick in comparison that way. So I lost that piece of Moldavite. I put it in the washing machine. I left it in one of my pockets, in a pair of my jeans, I think. And I knew it was in there. And when I got the clothes out, I couldn't find it ever again. Moldavite was like, I'm out. My second experience. The second time was a shared experience this time between my husband and I. I got his Moldavite simply because it was piquing my interest again. It was just, I was thinking about it. After years since that first experience, it was like, I think it's time for Moldavite again. So I got us both pieces of Moldavite. And this time I was so certain that I did not want to lose my Moldavite. So I got us bracelets, Moldavite bracelets. You can't lose Moldavite that easy when it's on a bracelet. We got the bracelets, and then the next day, mine completely dismantled. And then the following day, my husband's completely dismantled. But either way, I said I'm not losing the Moldavite, okay? I was was gonna figure it out. I'm gonna leave when I wanna leave. I'm like, you Moldavite, you're mine. And guess what? To this day, I still have the same piece. But my husband lost his. The next experiences after this one, it's the same piece. Okay, same piece. Never lost it. This time, working with Moldavite, there was chaos already happening in my life. Our kitchen had just flooded because someone upstairs had a refrigerator improperly installed and water was just coming through the walls. Our place, neighbor's place, and we had to evacuate. And they had to tear down our entire kitchen, do some repairs, build it back up. We moved to a very small studio in comparison to our place. No, it's not even just in comparison to our place. In general, this was a very small place and not fit for 2 people. Not fit for 2 people with a baby. Okay? We had to make it work. We were there for about 7 to 8 weeks because there were so many delays that kept happening with us being able to move back in, with the workers being unreliable, with changes of plans, changes of people involved, etc. It was a situation where if you weren't cool-headed, or if you weren't the type of person to go with the flow, or if you weren't really someone who looks at the bigger picture and know that things happen for a reason, you probably would be stressed out of your mind, frustrated, having to deal with this new, small place that had its own problems. But the crazy thing is that the energy of that place was better than the energy of our apartment. And what ended up happening was that we got in there and we had a burst of productivity. Here are some things that happened in the new place that we apparently just couldn't get done in our original place. I started posting on YouTube more consistently, better quality. We attracted new divination tools, new divination skills. We purchased our first set of divination rods, and I was gifted a Lenormand deck after it had come to me in a dream. I have a video on that, how I got my first Lenormand deck gifted to me. And even if you're not interested in Lenormand decks, I suggest watching that video because it is a cool story, and you get to see what those cards look like if you're not familiar with them. And does that qualify as a vintage deck if it's over 10 years? I believe so. Anyway, go check that out, and I'll have a link, or at the end of the video, it'll pop up as a suggested video to watch. So watch that one after this one. It's pretty interesting. My husband went through this shadow work process of forgiveness. He forgave certain family members where it was rummaging up his energy and just draining him. And when in that process of forgiveness, looking in hindsight now, it made him so much lighter. So those are the main things that happened in the 7 to 8 weeks we were there. And the biggest surprise that happened, the biggest change in our life, was that my husband decided to join me on my alkaline journey. He decided to stop eating animal-based, which is, you could view it as like a spin-off of the carnivore diet, whereas in the animal-based diet, you do eat a few fruits, but you're heavy on raw cheese, certain types of eggs, grass-fed, grass-finished beef and meats and things like that. And just really, really heavy animal-based. Heavy is a good way to explain it. It's a heavy diet. And he decided to join me, and I never thought he would. I didn't pressure him. I didn't give him ultimatums or anything like that. He tells me now that he just saw how I was eating, and he saw I was thriving, and it intrigued him, even though he defended his way of eating. And I'd say we just have natural discussions about it. I wouldn't say we went back and forth debating about it. I wouldn't say we had any fights about it or anything, but I view it like religion and other topics like that, political stances, and these larger ways of living, these greater concepts that we define ourselves by, these greater concepts that we identify with. Sure, if you're in a marriage and you don't agree on these larger aspects of identification, then this is a big deal to me. It is division. Okay? It's division in the household, division in the marriage. And it's hard. It's harder than it may have to be when there's that type of division. So to have that wall be destroyed brought so much relief to me. Collectively, between elevating our diet, tapping into our passion, working on forgiveness, unlocking new passions, this all laid out a foundation to have a shift in our way of living, a shift in our spirituality. It elevated us, and we would have never thought that that would have been our experience, being in such a restricted area and just kind of being forced into this, being forced into it. And it ended up being a blessing in disguise, not just because of the energy we were able to work with, but we came back to our apartment having an elevated energy as well, because we got new appliances, the entire layout of the kitchen changed, and it made much more space in the areas outside of the kitchen. And the overall field of the kitchen, which is your wealth center, was just much, much better energy than before. And overall, it was an upgrade for the place. So, it was very stressful when the flood happened, because I was literally mopping it up, wringing it into a bucket, mopping it up, wringing it into a bucket for hours. And looking back at it now, it's like, that was ridiculous to be doing that for hours with a baby who needed my attention so much. And going back and forth from pottying the baby, because I practice EC, pottying the baby and mopping up, and then pouring the filled up bucket into the toilet. Like, I did that for hours until my husband was able to get here from work and help out. He went and bought these sandbags that created layers to stop water, and even that, it was still flooding with that, but it did help. And so the flooding was able to be contained. It was a stressful situation, and I feel like my husband's attitude about it, we made it a better experience than it could have been. Experience number 3. This is the same Moldavite as the previous experience. I never lost it. I win. For now. So, this experience is more short, sweet, and to the point. It was over a matter of days, and I would just hold the Moldavite each day as much as I could, meditated with it in my hand, and I didn't sleep with it because I didn't want the baby to eat it, and I didn't carry it with me because I didn't want to accidentally put it in my pocket and wash it again. And so I just kept it in a specific place and had it in my hand, meditating with it as I thought of it. And it pretty much happened every day. And I did that every day until I felt the job was done. And the job was to direct me to another crystal. And this is a crystal I had not thought of much at all. This is a crystal I hadn't studied, hadn't heard anybody talk about. I wasn't familiar with its energy or anything about it. And I did see it once or twice in some books. I just flipped right past it, you know. So I didn't think much of it, didn't read anything about it. So it was a surprise for me that it was in a dream. And that crystal is watermelon tourmaline. Watermelon tourmaline. Another expensive crystal. In this dream, I found this beautiful place. And this area was full of amazing crystals everywhere. And it was like an outdoor area. And I was looking around, and then these two guys came up to me, and they're like, you can look, but you can't take anything with you. It's unethical to take anything. And I'm like, oh my, I would never. Unethical. And then I carry on, just looking all around at these beautiful crystals. And then I see this piece of crystal. It's not a piece, it's massive. It's this massive slab of watermelon tourmaline. It was gorgeous. And it was big, but it wasn't too big to where I couldn't pick it up. So I was saying to myself, I was planning to take it and go show my husband what I found. Take it home. And I didn't actually get that far in the dream. I woke up, but the last thing I recall is I was planning to do it. But when I woke up, I couldn't stop thinking about it. And my husband's been wanting to take me to this crystal shop, and I was like, okay, well, this is an opportunity for me to go to this certain crystal shop. And so we went, and I came back with a ring. I settled for the ring because, you know, I can only imagine how expensive a huge slab like the one of my dreams, how I can only imagine how expensive that would be. So I settled for a ring. Yes, for my ring. So this ring will have to do for now. Experience number 4. Experience number 4. My fourth experience with Moldavite, it shifted my awareness to a crystal again. This time, 2 crystals. And it wasn't a dream. This time it was just really just a shift in my awareness. And I wasn't working with Moldavite even a week, but doing the same things, just holding it when I could. I don't even really think I was meditating with it. I was just carrying it. I was just thinking about it here and there. I've had this piece of black kyanite in my home, in my bedroom, on my windowsill. My husband put it there. And he put it there when he learned the properties, the protective properties of black kyanite. He put that there on the windowsill in our bedroom, along with other spiritual items. And it's been there for 2 years. And I would take everything off, clean the windowsill, put it back up there, and never even really thought about the items. Never thought about anything. Never thought about the black kite thing. But when I was working on Moldavite this time, it came to my attention. I was looking at it, and if you saw how I was looking at it, you would have thought it was sparkling or that it was shooting out bursts of light. But it it just caught my attention after 2 years. And so I meditated with it that day, and I went to sleep with it. I had to put it in, I don't have the pouch nearby, but in this little pouch, the little leather bag tied up, because it's very brittle, and it would definitely flake off, and I wouldn't want to put that in the bed. It'd be even worse than selenite. And so I slept with that bag under the pillow that night that I found it, the day that I found it, and it was such a peaceful feeling. I don't remember the dreams, but I know that prior to that, I was having some entities. I see spirits in the area in my dreams. I know, I see crazy things. I should make a video about it. My experiences with dead people in my dreams. But these dreams, sometimes I'll actually dream of entities, and I had some unpleasant dreams with those entities. And anyway, I have a lot of ways of dealing with that. But in this particular case, I slept with the black kyanite and didn't have any dreams of entities, or dark entities. I didn't have any dreams of them, and it was a really peaceful sleep. And so I continued carrying it with me throughout the next day. And that night I went to sleep with it. And this time I slept with it in my hand. And I woke up abruptly, like after an hour. And I just knew, put it on your throat. Okay. I drifted back off to sleep. Woke up, put it on your third eye. Okay. Go back to sleep. Wake up, put it on your heart. Okay. And that was so cool to me to receive these instructions so directly. And I'm already waking up a lot every night because of the baby. And so to have these additional wake up moments, I thought I'm going to be tired the next day. And when I woke up the next day, well rested, I surprisingly was not tired. Mind blown. So that led me, a lot of times when I get information in my dreams about what to do or how to use something, I don't look it up because I don't want knowledge to taint what I'm being told to do. So I do it first, work with whatever I'm supposed to work with, and then I'll go look up other people's experiences if I'm curious, which is maybe a 50-50 chance at that. And so I was curious about how other people work with kyanite and if they had maybe similar experiences in their sleep. And every video I watched was just, it resonated with me so much. And I have this appreciation for black kyanite. And there was this one video I watched, and the guy spoke about using black kyanite with blue kyanite. And I've been using blue kyanite for years. I have quite a few different pieces, but this black kyanite is the only piece that we've had. Like I said, my husband found out about it, bought one piece, and that was it. But I have quite a few pieces, just a few. I have a few pieces of blue kyanite. And so when I heard these instructions from this guy about cleansing yourself with it, specifically how to use it, and I did it with my black kyanite and my blue kyanite. And after that experience, it was clear that I now have this in my arsenal of tools, this combination to use when I'm clearing people in person and when I'm helping people even outside of when it's in person. And I'm just really grateful for that information. And so ultimately, I definitely credit Moldavite for guiding me to those two crystals and helping me to view my crystal layouts, my crystal healings, and even clearing my space differently with black highlight. Ooh. So it really elevated what I'm able to offer to others, and I'm just very grateful for that experience. So now we're going to move on to the fifth and final experience, which I am not a main character in. My husband is. My husband is the main character in this experience. And this is the most recent one over the past few months. Just a few months. And I put a Moldavite in, one of my little baggies I was telling you about. And I put my intention into the crystal and I had him carry it at all times. There was one day, he carried it on him all day, all night. One day, every day until there was this one day where I noticed it on the counter and when he was gone. And I was like, did you forget about your Moldavite? And he said, yeah, he completely forgot about it. And so that's one other way to know when the job is done. When you're working with crystals, you completely forget about it. So it was done working with him. And the reason I gave him the Moldavite in the first place is because he was experiencing some low points with the mind battling and giving negative thinking, and just he expressed he was feeling stuck. Anytime someone says they're feeling stuck, I most definitely, a lot of times I will suggest Moldavite. Not every time, but a lot of times I will suggest Moldavite. And a few days go by, and since the work was done, a few days go by, maybe like 3 days. And then he gets a phone call from a childhood friend that he hasn't talked to in a really, really, really long time. And it's an opportunity, a financial opportunity. And it's a type of opportunity that my husband has to study for, to prepare before actually doing the work. And this really brought some spark to his day-to-day. It's something that he's passionate about. And that's the main thing, that it brought passion to him. It's not the details about what it was, but the main thing to convey is that it brought change to him by sparking up a passion in him. This was the change to bring him to a higher space that he really needed. So that's been very interesting to watch. And that's about as much details as I can give on that, because it's still something fresh. So, yeah, that's it. That is the end of my 5 experiences that I have to share with you. Let me know in the comments if you've experienced anything similar with Moldavite. Let me know in the comments if you've heard something here that either makes you want Moldavite more or gives you a better understanding of Moldavite. Let me know, and definitely give the video a thumbs up if you like it. I'm going to continue working with Moldavite for sure, okay? And I will post updates in the future. And if you want to make sure that you catch those, then subscribe. And then turn on the notification, because I'm going to post more of my experiences with all the crystals that I feel guided to post about. So I want to thank you so much for joining me on this frequency. And if you would like help with working with your crystals, help with healing through crystals, email me. It doesn't have to be in person. Email me nirvanacompass@gmail.com, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.